What's up? What's going on? How does my audio sound? I'm going to check it on my end.
What's up?
Yeah. Sounds like we're all good. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Cocktails with Cat Daddy live stream. Make sure you let me know you're here in the comments section. Get your questions in so we can get them all answered, and let me know what you guys are drinking. Give it another second here for some people to jump on in. Johnny, let's go Caspa. Johnny Taco Outdoor. Tacos, pretty much my favorite food, I think. Very close, if not at the very top. Do you own a taco shop or something? Curious. Let's go, brother. Yes, Luke. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. Crypto Gasu. Also, welcome back, my friend. Welcome back. We got a few things to talk about today. A few things that make me think that, again, we're going in the right direction as far as, getting all of these headwinds out of the way so we can actually continue this bull cycle second half of the year. And we'll get into that in just a second here. Riley, do you ship Caspa merch to Europe? As of right now, I don't ship outside of the US, and the reason is they make it surprisingly difficult and very expensive on my end to ship merch outside of the US. And so I'm working on a way to try and figure out how so that I can get merch sent out. I know there's multiple people in Australia and Europe that have hit me up and wanted some merch outside of the US, and I'm still working on it. Unfortunately, the Shopify makes it very difficult to ship things outside the US. So, might be able to do something for you if you, private message me on X. We might be able to figure out some way to get something shipped out to you if you want to go that route. So, go ahead and private message me on X if you want to try and figure something out, if you got something you want. But hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to have something set up where anybody outside the US can just go on the website and get stuff sent to them. Taco for Tacoma, like the truck, Toyota Tacoma. Gotcha. Is that your business though, like a taco truck? All right, guys. Make sure you get your questions in. I'm going to kind of veer over to a little bit of news real quick because I think it is important. And it's just a couple articles here from... Let me get this off the screen. So from the AP here, it says Trump says trade deals could be done within a month. So obviously that affects the market. The market has been a little bit frightened because of the trade deals and the tariffs and the uncertainty around everything. So, um, as far as of yesterday, um, he's saying everything might be worked out within a month. And like I told you guys last stream, it wouldn't surprise me if all of that fear from tariff talk was literally just all set up to crash the markets, to try and get things, back to the levels where the Fed is kind of pushed to cut rates and in quantitative tightening. And behind the scenes, these guys already had everything worked out, in the first place before this even started. And they were all in cahoots and, backdoor handshakes already that this is what was going to happen. And then, we'll cause some fear. And then at a certain point, we'll make things positive, that we're going to work things out and the markets will react positively to that. Now, secondly here, we've got another macro news that says Trump wants Powell out of the Fed. Waiting in the wings is Kevin Warsh. So, obviously, behind the scenes, there has been a lot of rumbles that this administration is not happy with Jerome Powell for holding the line and not cutting rates already. And so it sounds like this first paragraph here, President Donald Trump on Thursday again made it clear his disdain for Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, going as far to say that the central banker's termination can't come fast enough, and saying in an Oval Office event that Powell will be out of there real fast if he wants. So basically all of this just means that President Trump wants markets to turn around again. He wants the rates to start being cut again, and he wants to end quantitative tightening, and he wants to set the markets on an upward trajectory again this year, which is what it sounds like. And that is ultimately good for us and our altcoins. I don't know that he actually has the power. I don't know the behind the scenes of who can fire who works for who when it comes to the U.S. System from top down. But I hear people say that he's not even able to fire Jerome Powell. He makes it sound like he can, but maybe what he can do is push things in a certain direction and make him resign, or make him, force him to do whatever they want him to do. I just don't know exactly when that's going to happen. And maybe he can fire him for all I know, which ultimately would be a good thing, I think. But those are the two newsworthy things that I wanted to show you guys, just because it has a immediate impact on what is actually going on in the markets, as well as how that's going to affect us moving forward this year, because we're in altcoins, majority of us, and we have not seen the altcoin cycle yet. And in order for that to happen, quantitative tightening needs to end, rates need to start being cut. And I think that those two things hint at a possibility of that happening within the next few months. We'll see as time goes on. Things can vary and, turn themselves on a dime from day to day. So we're going to have to see how it plays out in the meantime. But it's good news nonetheless that he's talking about that, and that there is a sense of urgency, it sounds like, as far as Jerome Powell and doing what, they want him to do. So we'll see how it ends up playing out. The other thing I wanted to show you guys, have you seen this? I gotta pull my screen back up real quick. This is Caspa focused, obviously. Enough with the macro stuff, although it is important because it affects our altcoin cycle potentially this year. I was under the impression that with Caspa's crescendo upgrade, that the TPS, transactions per second, were going to be somewhere just below the 1700, which is what Visa does. So it was going to, I thought it was going to be like at 1,000 to 1,400 transactions per second. But apparently, what Crypto Reviewing says, I don't know where he's getting this data from, so maybe we take it with a grain of salt. But from what he's saying, 3,000 TPS is what we're going to see, once the Crescendo upgrade goes live, which, by the way, is in 16 days from now, which actually almost makes it twice as fast as Visa, which is huge when it comes to, payment processing and, potentially being having that use case in the crypto space, which is what initially it was going for, in the beginning and in the first place. And I think still is for the most part. We're going to add smart contracts and stuff, which also actually need to happen in order for getting the stablecoin in there so we can actually transfer, money back and forth. But I thought that was interesting that 3,000 TPS is potentially possible with Caspa once the Crescendo update goes live, which, if we look at this, we're only 16 days and 14 hours away. So we're getting pretty close, and that's exciting. And I think we're going to have a little bit of run-up in price. I don't know how much of a run-up once we, get within, a week or two of the upgrade. And I would imagine we have a pullback after that if we do see a little bit of uptick in price moving into it, buy the rumor, sell the news type of scenario. But kind of cool if we can really see 3,000 TPS once we've got 10 blocks per second going. That would be extremely fast and extremely scalable if you can scale to that extreme. I mean, that's almost double what Visa's doing or has the capability of doing. Crypto Otis Modelo again. I think every Friday you're drinking that. Well, appreciate you coming back and hanging out. Chirps drinking a Bud Light. Johnny Tacos. I film outdoor camping adventures. Okay. That's kind of cool, though. Carl G. I shipped a box of books to Australia some years ago. Super expensive, or so expensive. Yeah, it is. I actually, one of my last contest winners for the raffle when I hit 5,000 subscribers was from, shoot, I can't remember the exact country now, but it was somewhere in the Europe area, if I remember correctly. I think it was Denmark or something. And the shipping, I had to actually order it to my house and then ship it out to Denmark myself. And it was extremely expensive to ship. So I don't understand. And that was before all the tariff talk, so that wasn't even a thing at that point. But Nacho, 10x this cycle. I think it, with as low of a market cap as it is, it can probably do more. But it's gonna be based on what Caspa does, and kind of usually the L1, which is Caspa in this case, if it runs and it runs hard, then everything underneath of it with smaller market caps built on top of it are going to run even harder in theory. That's typically what happens. How many UTXO transactions are possible on Caspa wallet? And what if the maximum amount is surpassed? And if so, will the oldest transaction in the UTXO be lost? It probably just freezes, I would imagine, and gets put in a maybe not freezes, but gets put in a waiting pool until it can catch up, and then it will actually fill those transactions. I don't know how many transactions are possible right now in the Caspa wallet, and I'm assuming you mean the which wallet is that? Uh, I guess it's called the Caspa wallet, but it's like the KDX maybe. I'm not really sure how many are possible in that at this point. Pero, what do you think I should do with my KRC20 tokens? I made a big mistake on not cashing out on Kango when it gained during the brief period of some time ago. Other tokens just sitting there. Yeah, KRC20 is down a lot right now. I still think Kango is going to make a rebound. It's kind of up to you. If you're down, if you're down a lot and you bought kind of at that local top, um, maybe it's better just to sit on them and see what happens. If we get an alt season, the prices are going to go up again. It's just a matter of, you know, when that's going to happen. I know it sucks to see, uh, prices way down from where they were a few months back. Um, but that's common in a bull cycle as well. A 30% correction on Bitcoin and then, a 30% or more on altcoins is actually pretty common when it's all said and done. Every cycle has two or three different 30% pullbacks with Bitcoin. And that's about where we're sitting right now. We might go a little bit lower, I don't know. But to answer your question, it's kind of up to you, man. I mean, if it was me, I'd probably just sit on them, especially if you don't have a whole lot of money in them, and just wait for them to rebound again. Thoughts on Sin City channel that CAS won't reach past all-time highs this cycle. Is that what they said? I know Sin City was pretty bullish on Caspa, and if they're actually saying that, I don't. What was their reasoning, or did they just say it to say it? I'm sure they had some sort of reason, but I guess I'd have to imagine that it's going to surpass its previous all-time high, which is 20 cents. I think what is that, a 90 some percent move? I would imagine Caspa. I imagine good projects from this point on are going to do a minimum to 10x, especially with lower market caps. Even some of the bigger guys are probably going to do a 10x from here. If we get the altcoin season, let me preface it that if we get the altcoin season that we think we're going to get. Why is XRP so hyped? It's old, centralized, and unlimited supplied. Why is it even a competitor for Caspa? Well, the only reason why it's hyped is because all of the big banks and stuff. That's its use case, right? At least that's what they say the use case is. The issue with it is a token, like you said, that's centralized and has unlimited supply. Is it unlimited? Um, you've also got to look at how much the team owns, and they own like 80% or 60, somewhere between 60 and 80% of the total supply. And they literally, every time the price goes up a little bit, they just dump some of their tokens. And what that's doing is causing a ton of inflation. And it's very hard for the price to move big time when that's happening every single time you get price movement. Um, they the max supply is 100 billion on XRP, but I guess it's centralized. They in theory could print more of it if they wanted to, but the the market cap's already 120 billion. It's going to be, once the market cap gets up that high, it's harder to move. It takes a lot more money to move, and on top of that, you've got the team selling some of their tokens every time it gets to a certain threshold. So it's going to be extremely difficult for that thing to move. Why it's so hyped? I think it's got a big community, and the community hasn't gone away. They have the envision, or the vision, that it's going to be used solely without anything else as the banking peer-to-peer coin at some point. But I don't know that XRP is even going to be used. It might just be some stable coin running on Ripple itself. I don't know, because Ripple is a separate company from XRP, and XRP, I don't know that they even need XRP in order to function. I could be wrong. I don't do a whole lot of research on that coin because I don't like it, but I guess to answer your question, the main reason it's hyped is because the people in that community think that it's the end all be all for banking to banking, bank to bank payments, and maybe world, country to country payments at some point. I don't know that that's going to be true. Okay, so Sin City thinks that Caspa's ecosystem is still young. Correctly so. Yeah, it is still young, and they predict it'll go big in next cycle. It's possible, but you guys got to think that most projects have their largest gains in their very first cycle. Okay, they're going to potentially, if it sticks around, get more and more um, traction, as multiple cycles start to happen. But usually, if you look at the vast majority of cryptocurrencies, they have their biggest, percentage gain and run in their very first cycle, which is why I don't know that it matters if the ecosystem's young. We've seen projects do astronomical gains that, seem outlandish for projects that have literally no use case at all. And that's just what happens in an altcoin cycle. The money from Bitcoin and all of the it trickles down into larger caps, and then mid caps, and then lower caps, and then you also have the uh, retail coming back in once all the hype comes back, and they're throwing money into meme coins and a bunch of other stuff that literally have no use case at all. So I think Caspa is going to be a multi-cycle coin, but I do think that it's going to have its best gains in the first cycle. But we're also measuring that from when it launched as well. So we're not necessarily measuring it from this point forward to the end of the cycle. So weigh that out as it is too. Cinco de Mayo is going to be lit this year. Yeah, we're going to have, obviously, a lot of people like to party on Cinco de Mayo, right? Hispanic holiday. And we've got the Crescendo upgrade going live. Abraham, I've laid back on my drinking one beer every Friday during the stream is becoming my routine. Well, don't don't make me be the reason that you're going to start drinking again. Sparkling water works too. But I do appreciate you being here. For sure. One beer ain't going to kill anybody anyways. Let's go 1.5 million Caspa and keep loading up. Shay, if you've got 1.5 million Caspa, props to you, my friend. That is a very solid bag. My wife will divorce me if we don't see a $1 at minimum this year. Yeah, I hope that happens for you then. I think, if all goes right and we do see an altcoin season second half of this year, then I think we get to $1. TP hand, I will divorce Caspa if it doesn't tap $1. Just kidding. There's a chance we don't see $1, guys. I mean, it depends on how the second half of this year goes, But there's also a chance we see $3, It kind of just depends on the market and how the macro stuff kind of plays itself out. And if we see an altcoin cycle. Which is why we're just watching things closely. It seems like things are lining up, but, it's still premature to say. Infamous. Welcome back with the banana emoji. Keep dreaming, yep. In my dreams every night. We definitely see 85 cent plus. I think so. Infamous, didn't Grayscale pull this from consideration because it's a scam? Yeah, well, it's funny. They pulled Caspa from consideration, but added Mantra OM the same day. And that's funny because Mantra actually rug pulled. And Caspa has not rug pulled. So, think of it what you want. I don't know exactly why they pulled it. They might... there's two reasons. Either they don't want it, which is obviously, their decision. And the other reason is because they're moving it into the projects that they're going to launch, and it's not for consideration anymore. And they're actually moving it into the their holdings part of it. It's going to be one of those two things, obviously. And we're going to find out. There is a chance that they just eliminated it and they don't want to list it anymore. I'm not oblivious to that. Abraham, if you think Cass will have a run, the KRC20 should bounce too. The main ones at least. Yes, 100%. If Caspa does run, then... And this has been proven... cycle after cycle over the history of crypto, that when the layer 1 that coins are built on run, then the meme coins and the projects built on top of that layer 1 also run. They don't just stay stagnant. So it is, it's like I said, it's going to be a matter of if we get that altcoin season this year. And CAS does run, the KRC20s will run again. It's just a matter of how high they're going to run. Mila, what do you think about how fast stablecoin on CAS will be implemented after smart contracts? I would imagine it's going to be pretty instant. I would think they're working on it right now. It's going to run on Egra Labs, I believe. So as soon as those are up and running, the stablecoin should follow almost immediately, I would think, which is Gigacoin or something like that, I think it's called. And then they'll probably bring in other stablecoins as well. They'll implement the USDC and USDT, all the main stablecoins as well, so that we can transact with any of them, I would imagine. Wyatt, hey mate, they think CAS is too new and won't get adoption compared to the Dino coins. Okay, so I'm assuming you're talking about Sin City again with KASPA. Anything's possible. And they may be right. I don't know that. I think you got to remember, it's hard to say. There's a chance that happens. There's also a chance that it's its first cycle, and I don't know that it needs a hell of a lot of adoption necessarily. Obviously, you need people buying the token in order for the price to go up. But saying it won't surpass 20 cents again, I think, is a little much. I would be extremely surprised if we don't make it back to the 20-cent mark. That's just my opinion. That would be crazy to me, especially with all the catalysts on the horizon that are happening this cycle too, by the way, which will put KASPA in the news. If we get the tier 1 listings, that obviously puts it in the news because people see that, and it's just hard for me to believe that we won't see 20 cents again by the end of this year or this cycle in general. But, maybe we look back and that does happen. I don't know. I can't imagine it though. $3 KASPA would be amazing. Yeah, it would be. The only reason KASPA had hype was the Grayscale consideration and Mara mining, and now the big players are jumping off ship. KASPA had hype before both of those. Grayscale was pretty recent, and so was Mara. And I would beg to differ on that. I don't know that the Grayscale thing's that big of a deal, to be honest with you. And Mara is still mining KASPA. Obviously, they sell some for Bitcoin, but they do hold KASPA still as well, so I don't know that they're jumping ship at all. Unless there's breaking news that I haven't heard of, that they stopped mining it. KASPA's KDA 2.0, I disagree with that. KDA has zero use case at all. And KASPA is getting real world use with the KII, which is a massive European energy company that's been around forever, had been looking for a blockchain to run all their projects and transactions on. They've been looking for a blockchain for 10 years. And they passed and passed and passed and passed until they found KASPA this last year, and then they decided that is what they want to use because of the speed, the scalability, and all the other things Caspa brings. Yeah, Abraham, I agree with you. Caspa had plenty of hype before Mara and Grayscale, and Mara's still mining. And Grayscale, in my opinion, has a bunch of portfolios they have put together with like Litecoin and old Dino coins that literally are pieces of shit that are just around because people know the name. And I would think that Mantra is potentially going to get pulled from Grayscale consideration too after the rug. If they keep that on there, I don't know what they're thinking. They clearly have no idea what they're doing. The emission schedule, ensure it won't be a multi-cycle coin. That's not true at all because transactions are going to be paid out to the miners. Everything that's going to be running on top of Caspa is going to, all the transaction fees are going to be paid to the miners. So there's going to be an incentive to mine after the emission schedule is done. And I would argue there's a potential, right? Don't quote me on this because I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But once all the coins are mined, the what's the word I'm looking for? Exactly what they claim is going to happen to Bitcoin. The more coins that are mined, the more shit, I can't even think of the word. The more precious, I can't think of the word, the more precious the coin is going to be worth because you literally don't have any more in circulation except for the ones that you can buy from peer-to-peer if they're willing to sell them. You 125,000 Caspa here. Solid bag. Boom, boom. Cooper, is it a good time to buy CAS? I keep waiting for a pullback. Have some dry powder on the side. I would DCA. Now is definitely not a bad time to buy it. We could see some lower prices. If I were to guess, if we get another pullback and crash, it's going to be around the time the tariff discussion comes back, which is going to be like 2.5 months from now. And so I would probably just DCA in between that amount of time. And usually, too, another rule of thumb is the market usually actually crashes around the time that quantitative tightening ends. We'll have our last leg down, which might be a double bottom. It might go slightly lower than the last leg down that we just had. But nonetheless, we potentially see some cheaper prices anytime in between now and, right when quantitative tightening ends. So there definitely could be another round of bloodiness to get another good entry. Infamous. Come on, man. Come on. OM still has better performance after the rug pull than Caspa. Come on. I don't even know what to say to that. It's down 80-some% in a matter of days. Come on. Let's grow up a little bit. If Caspa reaches 20 cents plus, just based on FOMO, no 10 blocks per second, no smart contracts, no tier ones, yeah, I just can't imagine it not surpassing that 20 cents mark. Um, I know Sin City is super bullish on Caspa. At least they were. Um, I just don't know that I believe that theory. Maybe we look back and they predicted it, but I would imagine that we see a higher than 20 cent Caspa by the end of this year, providing all of the uh, overhead macro stuff gets solved. Freebreaker, Cat Daddy, Plumber by day, Caspa, Fudbuster by night. Yes, absolutely. Infamous loves ICP. Infamous loves BTC, Sol, and Sui. Infamous, you got to understand that I agree with you on the Sol and Sui and BTC. Those are three of my top four holdings, by the way. Caspa is just the other in that. So we don't disagree fully on the crypto market. I absolutely love Sui for this bull run, and I own the second biggest part of my portfolio is Solana because that was my favorite project last cycle, and I bought a ton of it at $8 to $20 in the depths of the bear market, and I still hold it. It's my second biggest holding. Sui is my third biggest holding. So I just don't understand why you want to talk so much crap about somebody who agrees with 90% of what you say here. You don't have to like Caspa, but it seems like you're tiring yourself out trying to find talking points of why it's bad. Just chill out, man. Hang out, have a good time. You're not going to convince me otherwise, or anybody else in here probably. Abraham, prove that the team holds 60%. Even if that was true, people still invest in projects like XRP. Prove that 60% of the team owns XRP? Or prove that in another coin. I can prove to you that XRP team holds that much holds that much XRP, and I believe it might be more than that. If you really want to go take a look, let me pull it up here. Bum 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 bum. Sorry, let's turn this dark mode so we don't blind anybody. But if we look up XRP here, and let's go to their little pie chart for markets, fundraising, I guess, might show us. No, they're not even going to show us on here because they're going to try and hide it, but I can find it. Analytics, no. Let me see here. Let's see. I just want to find their pie chart. I know it's around. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll have to come back to this so that you guys don't have to watch me find it here. Maybe Masari will help us out here. I've seen it before, so I know it exists. And I believe it was actually more than 60% owned by the team. You've got to understand, too, that maybe token unlocks. Nah, they're going to make me pay for this stuff. I might have to come back next stream with this so that I don't waste everybody's time trying to find it. But I will promise you I will do that next stream. Let's see here. Let me try one more thing real quick. So that's just the supply schedule and the... Okay, well, we have the initial distribution here was the founders and project 99.8%. There's a better chart than that, but maybe they own almost 100% of the tokens. We'll come back to that next stream. But even this right here, the tokenomics says the founders potentially own 99.8%. But they usually use words like, I would imagine and project means like early investors and stuff, because they had to have like all of these guys down here in the corner had to get a little piece of the pie. Okay, so if you want to see what is the allocation of XRP, it says here that 77.8% was allocated to Ripple. So 20% was retained by the founders of XRP. So Ripple owns 77%, and then the founders, which is still Ripple, basically have the other 20%. The tokenomics are garbage, no matter which way you look at it. So it's even more than 60%. And then the rest of that's probably allocated to the early investors and the seed investors, because they have to get their little piece of the pie. So not a good tokenomics schedule for XRP. Infamous hates Caspa because he knows his Sui, Sol, and BTC will be overtaken by Caspa in the future. It's possible. It is possible. Where am I? Just bring me back to the bottom here. There are almost no transactions happening on chain. The average TPS is half a transaction per second. Yeah, because smart contracts aren't on up and live yet. All you have is KRC20, and that's kind of there's nothing really to do on Caspa yet, which is why the transactions per second are low right now. Once Eager Labs and Sparkle launch their smart contracts, we should see that uptick. Steve, I've never seen a more fair launch project than Caspa. Yeah. Yeah, maybe besides Bitcoin. The tokenomics are very similar. M2 is at an all-time high. Crypto hits highs typically 80 plus days thereafter. Yeah, so That's another thing, the M2, that I haven't talked about, but it is also lining itself up. It just seems like kind of everything is falling into place. We're still premature on that, but the tea leaves and the echoes in the overall market seem to be moving in that directions. And it seems like it's all going to play out. We're going to have our, um, crypto altcoin season kind of happen the way it happens every single cycle. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of a different path to get there, whether it's shorter, longer. Um, it's not going to happen identically every single time. So, but you know, after smart contracts, do you think CAS can reach number 10 on CoinMarketCap? I don't know if it's going to get in the top 10 this cycle. It doesn't really need to though in order to make us good gains. It's possible. It kind of just depends. We have to see how um, adoption is, um, and that's going to be key to what we potentially see price movement from Caspa if it gets adopted. And I don't know, and you don't know. Nobody really knows if the adoption is going to take off or not. Really. XRP is a newbie trap. Yeah, and you can probably the problem with that is you can probably buy XRP right now and make a little bit of money when it comes to the end of the cycle, but I can't imagine you're going to make a whole lot of money on XRP. It's already at $120 billion market cap, and there's not a whole lot of room for it to move. I still think Ethereum's going to come back and outperform, and usually that's what happens and sets off the altcoin market. It follows Ethereum, so I'm actually rooting for Ethereum to recover. It's at its all-time lows on its Bitcoin pair right now, and probably is right around its bottom. Just a matter of when it's going to bounce, and we probably need monetary policy and macro stuff to even out before or come back in our favor before that happens. But XRP, I can't even. I don't know where it's going to go. Maybe looking at a 5x tops. Maybe 10x if we're really, really lucky on XRP. But that would bring it to $20 roughly at this point in time. I don't think that's going to happen. OM is down 80% and still outperforming Caspa. Check the data. Well, it depends on where you check the data from, but on the year, it's not outperforming at all. In fact, it dropped almost 90% in a matter of one day. I don't know how you can think positively on that. But if we come over here and let's just take a quick look. Okay. We'll take a look at Caspa first. And if you go year to date, Caspa is down 34%. No, I'm sorry, that's the volume. Year to date, where the hell is it? It's down 63% from its all-time high. If you want to do from, I mean, depends on where you measure it from. Where, if you're looking at down from all time high, you're down 63% on Caspa, and you are down 92% from Mantra's all-time high. So like it you can I almost think no matter where you uh, take your data point from, I mean year to date, obviously Caspa's down about 33%, 34%, and Mantra's down 80 something percent. So like I don't know where you're getting your numbers from. I mean, Mantra, its all-time low was in 2023 in October at 35. It's up 3,500 still from its all-time low. Maybe you're doing from that. If you go to Caspa from its all-time low, it's up 4,500, so it's still outperforming. And if you look at the all-time chart, like that looks like a good all-time chart, right? When you look at Mantra's all-time chart, the red flag is this straight line down from almost $7 to 59 cents in a matter of hours. That's not a healthy chart at all. That's a rug pull. So I just don't understand where you're getting your data points from, where you're telling me Caspa is underperforming Mantra. Uh, Beats me. Oh, okay, I get it. I was talking about Infamous. He said Cast team holds 60%, which he can't prove. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see you prove that one. There's no pie charts on Caspa at all because, I mean, you could argue that the team, as soon as they launched Caspa, before anybody knew about it, mined some Caspa, right? Um, but we technically don't know how much, but there was a limit that they all said less than, I think it was less than 5% or less than 1% of the supply. They all agreed upon that they're not going to mine more than that between themselves. You're going to have to take their word for it, right? But that's what they said. Um, so between all team members, in theory, it was somewhere between 1 and 5% of the total supply that they was their limit as far as that's what Shy said anyway. What their limit was as far as what they agreed upon that they their max amount that they could mine um, before the project catches on. Caspa is about to go nuclear. Yeah, yeah. Again, I think that's going to depend on altcoin season because if we don't get an altcoin season, then nothing's going to go nuclear. But the catalysts that are around the corner uh, definitely have a potential to launch a nuclear missile underneath of Caspa in late May. Yeah. I don't talk crap about you. I strictly talk about Caspa. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily bother me. I just don't know why you hate it so much. It's more or less Infamous, that I look out into the future and I see and a lot of other people do too. I'm not just talking about Caspa in a positive light because I want viewers and I want, um, clout, or I don't take money from anybody. Um, I do it because I believe in the project, and it's fine that you don't. There's a lot of people that don't believe in it, and you know, you're either going to be proved wrong or right in the future, and so are we. But I don't see why there needs to be so much hate between projects. We're supposed to be one in the same, right, in the crypto space. And there's room for multiple projects to do multiple different things. So, you know, it, there there's, Visa doesn't completely, um, you know, have a stronghold on transaction markets outside of crypto. There's um, AMX, there's multiple different, payment processing companies. There's multiple different, in any sector that you look at, there's multiple different things that are successful. So we don't need to have um, just one thing win out in the end. There can be multiple different things doing multiple different projects doing multiple different things that they're specialized in across the crypto space. So it's not like we only have to have one and that's it. Let me get this disgusting chart of Mantra off the screen. 150k Caspa coins here and 9 years sober today without going to infamous AA meetings. Just down 50%. I'm not worried one bit. Yeah. Well, congratulations, by the way, on being 9 years sober. That's a huge accomplishment. And 150k Caspa is also a pretty solid bag. Things are looking up for you, my friend. Yeah, if you look at a lot of a lot of coins in the market, Caspa is actually down less year to date based on this last crash than a lot of coins. A lot of meme coins are down 90 some percent, and Caspa's down a little bit more than 50% right now. I think it's like 60 something percent, but it's roughly where everything else is in the market. It's not like it's an outlier. Abraham, I don't expect Cas to hit $3. I think $1 will happen. But when something catches on, it really goes. Look at ADA. If they hit almost 100 billion market cap, I won't be surprised to see Cas hit that, which is 350. Yeah, and you've also got to. So that's a good point. I mean, we talk about the ADA comparison a lot because we talk about the fact that it didn't have smart contracts at all. It had a promise of smart contracts, so you literally could not do anything on the chain. Um, but it did have tier 1 exchanges at that point in time, so that could have helped it. You've also got to realize that by the end of this cycle, the market caps are going to be larger than they were, right? The top 10 market caps and the crypto market cap as a whole is going to be larger than it was last cycle. By how much, I don't know. I think it was 3 trillion last cycle. Maybe we go 5-6 trillion this cycle. Maybe we go more. I don't know for the whole entire market cap. But the top layer ones were hitting, just under 100 billion last cycle, which means the top L1s are going to hit probably more than that this cycle. Whether Caspa is going to be a top L1 and hit, the 150 to 200, billion potential of what top L1s are going to do this cycle, I don't know. But can it even hit, can it get to 100 billion in market cap? It seems plausible, right? Because I think the larger L1s are going to do even more than that. So that wouldn't even be top 10 if it hits 100 billion in market cap. If we see crazy price action from crypto as a whole. So, we can project out a little bit and see, and, who knows? But it will have smart contracts. I think it's going to get Binance and potentially Coinbase as far as tier one. So, we don't know that for sure, but they've listed futures, and usually that's a precursor to a spot listing in most cases. So, we're just kind of doing educated guesses at this point based on what's happened in the future or in the past, projecting out into the future, and we'll see what happens. Complete. Which KRC20 do you recommend? So, um, my personal two that I hold are Nacho and Goad. There are some more decent ones out there. The OGs like Casper. Um, Let me see if. Let me actually pull up some KRC20 stuff. And so Nacho is still number one in market cap. That's probably going to be the blue chip, I would imagine, from the KRC20 scenario. Kango and Caspi are both decent buys. Casper and Goad, in my opinion, are decent buys. I know Goad has some pre-allocated tokens for exchange listings and stuff. So do what you will with that information. A lot of people don't like it because it wasn't fair launched, but a lot of fair launched meme coins actually do have backers. The team that launched it and some, at least in the main space like Pump.Fun, they all claim they were fair launched, but it ends up they had multiple backers behind them that were buying in early that nobody knew about, and they were just lying about it being fair launched. So I don't know if that's going on in the KRC20 space or not, but it is able to be hidden. Conan is probably a decent project. I haven't really dug deep into the KRC20s recently, but those would be the ones that I would probably, if you were going to buy any at these real low prices, those are probably the ones. I wouldn't put a ton of money into them, though, because you've got to think about the fact that Eager Labs and Sparkle are going to launch this summer, and there's going to be more meme coins that are going to probably be built on top of those as well. These will probably be the OGs, so some of them will probably do pretty well, but you're going to have new hype over on, this side of the smart contracts, and I don't know if KRC20 is going to be forgotten about a little bit once the new shiny ball over here is launched. So it's probably okay to put some money into these KRC20s. the market caps are so low that you could still make some good money off them. But there is going to be some more competition, I guess you could say, coming out once Eager Labs decides to launch and Sparkle decides to launch. And I hope we see some good utility projects built on them as well, other than just meme coins. But I would imagine there's going to be more meme coins, more competition. So I would stick with the blue chips over here, which I would label as Nacho, Kango, Caspi, Casper, potentially Goad, and maybe Conan. If it was me, I would stick with mostly Nacho at this point, but that's just me. The market cap's not that much higher than some of these. Well, it's 12x higher than some, but it's still an extremely low market cap, and I think, if nothing else, this is your safest KRC20 in Nacho. Negative man. I've been here since 2014. I'm fine. Yeah. Yeah, if you've been here since 2014, then this is lean back in a chair and yawn stuff for you. Seen it all before, been there, done that. Yeah, and another thing too is like the people saying that Caspa can't make it. Um, I mean, Bitcoin was the same way. Nobody understood it. Nobody thought it would, do anything, right? It was fake money at the time, and it has made it all the way, which is why Infamous says he's been here since 2011. Um, I'm curious what you thought of Bitcoin back in 2011, because I would imagine that it was one of those things that nobody would have guessed it would have made it as far as it did. And, maybe Caspa makes it, maybe it doesn't, but, you can't really predict that out, because I guarantee you didn't predict that with Bitcoin. A decade later being where it's at today. Some projects will make it long term, some won't. Yeah, Cass is down 34% for the year, and Mantra is down 84 to 89% for the year. So, and that happened in one day. It wasn't a slow grind like the rest of crypto. It got rug pulled. This is actually a good comment. I'm living off a small island in Thailand, loving life. This is my morning coffee. Helps me get all my morning anger out. Angry energy out. Well, good for you, man. If you're actually living on a small island out in Thailand, I'm actually jealous. That sounds like an amazing life. So just chill. Roll with the punches, man. You don't have to get so triggered over Caspa. Sounds like you're already doing excellent in life. Early bird gets the worm, yeah. Yeah, so like let's say there's two scenarios here, right? When it's all said and done. Either Caspa makes it or Caspa doesn't make it. And I think it has more checks in the box that it could make it than it won't make it. But the early bird gets the worm. And, we're early birds into Caspa. So, if it plays out like we think it's going to play out, then we're going to be sitting pretty good. Lexi Crypto Archie said if we see Caspa at $1 to be happy. I say even 50 cents to be happy. Yeah, I mean everybody's got their, like if we get to like August, September, November of this year, and these are the prices we're sitting at, then I will be selling at those prices, and I will be happy because I bought most of my Caspa at 4 cents, 5 cents, and I mined a bunch of it before it was even a penny. So I'll be happy to sell 50 cents to $1. Um, we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. You got to understand too that has Archie even been through a cycle yet? I feel like this is his first go around, and he's being told what to say by someone else. He's just real good at articulating things smoothly on videos, which is why I think he's the face and the one out there. But I feel like he gets his information elsewhere and just talks about it. I could be wrong. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus by any means, but I don't know that he's been around multiple cycles to even know what an altcoin cycle looks like, where the market caps and the prices go up astronomically ridiculous in a very short amount of time, where right now it doesn't seem like we could even hit 50 cents to $1. Once we start moving, you know, it's the same people that are saying that are going to start saying it's never going to stop and we're going to $5 to $10. So I would watch if we do get the alt season and things start moving drastically. I would watch Archie and see if he starts saying that we're, $3 to $5 is now a possibility. Curtis, September 1st for the crypto pool. I have no idea what that is. Enlighten me. Also, you guys, have you seen that Zealous Swap, the new swap feature on Egra Labs, is available for testing, beta testing. Let's see here. Let me pull this up real quick. So Zealous Swap delivers lightning fast, secure trades, ultra low gas fees, swap fees, so efficient you'll think it's magic. So this is the first swap that's going to be available on smart contracts, Egra Labs, and I would imagine it would be nice if Tangem actually integrated this as well, so that the fees get cheaper when we're swapping in the Tangem wallet, and I think they will eventually. But these are the type of projects that Caspa needs when smart contracts come out. We need swaps, we need wallets, we need all the basics that every other chain has. And Zealous Swap is going to be the first one. So that's good news that they're already in testing. And I'm going to do a dedicated video on this. I'm going to actually enter the beta testing and kind of show you guys how it works and what's the deal. And it looks like they've got Zeal, which is their token, kind of like a Uniswap. If you want to compare it to something, that you can actually jump into a pool and actually get yield and earn Zeal tokens as well, which is risky. We'll go into that later, though. But we need to see stuff like this because this is what the regular crypto market has, and Caspa needs to get to that point, and this is good to see. I'm sure there'll be more swaps, there'll be more wallets, there'll be more utility projects building once we really get this moving. Paul, $2 possible though if Binance and BTC pops off. Yeah, if BTC pops off again, but like I said, the alt season needs to happen. The Bitcoin dominance needs to fall off a cliff, and we need to have a legitimate altcoin season, um, which I think is still going to happen. It looks like things are lining up, so we'll see. I'm not going to go out and say for sure it's going to happen because I don't know, but it looks like things um, are lining up. So we keep the positive attitude and, kind of envision it into existence. Paul, CG said $7 again today as the cycle top. A joke. ADA, AVAX, Sol all did 20x from their 2021 lows to cycle tops. CAS fell to 5 cents. 20x is 1 to $1.2. Yeah, $7 is a little bit out there. There are a lot of influencers that are telling you $7 to $10, and I would caution with that. But like I said, take any price prediction with a grain of salt. It's more important that you follow where we are in the cycle and where we are in the monetary cycle, okay? Because that is going to tell you when the end of the cycle is. And you are not holding out for a certain price, because that's how you're going to get wrecked. So every single crypto cycle usually ends in quarter 4 of the post-halving year. And the road to get there is a little bit different each time. Remember in 2016-17, the altcoins didn't take off until November of quarter 4. And they ran hard November, December. I think they even might have ran into January, but last cycle they ran harder before that and topped out in November of 2021. So it's slightly different each time, and it varies from a month to 2 months difference one way or another. And the longevity of it, it's either a quick, fast, sharp, short path to the top, or it's drawn out a little bit longer, but we still get the same result when it's all said and done. So, let's monitor it, but in theory, based on history, we should be eyeing Q4 sometime between September and December of this year. And I would probably be selling the majority of my crypto during that time, providing we've gotten the price movement that we think we're going to get. So, yeah, $7 is probably not going to happen, guys. Unless, we hit the perfect storm and crypto just absolutely moonshots as a whole. I still don't think it's going to happen, though. I would say $3 tops this cycle. And I would be very comfortable with $1. And on that note, guys, we're at an hour and a half, and I think that's going to be it for today. I appreciate you guys all for joining. We'll be back next Friday, and in the meantime, remember to pack your damn bags before it's too late. I love you all. I'll see you next Friday.